We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle. Coming up this morning, brace yourself for power outages in parts of the country. The warning from Gridco as it announces shortage in gas supply to Tema at peak hours. Also, minority demands presidential inquiry into cancellation of GCPC contracts, which has led to the award of $140 million judgment debt against Ghana. We have details as the Power Minister, former Power Minister Kwabena Donkor says government has exhibited high level of incompetence in relation to this matter.
This particular contract should be terminated. But even in terminating, we were so incompetent in process.
Plus, on our Fear Delegates series today, we will be exploring what influences the interests of delegates ahead of the NPP presidential primary. We'll turn our attention to the Lojokuku constituency. We have details of all of these plus business coming up shortly. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Let's settle for the details. Brace yourself for power outages in parts of the country in the coming days. That's the warning from Gridco. In a statement released on 26 October 2023, the company said the power outages were as a result of a shortage in gas supply to Tema at peak hours. Head of JoyNews' energy desk, Samuel Kojo joins us with details of the statement. Kojo, first, what's the supply gap? Hello, Kojo Breeze.
Okay, so Aisha, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Good. So we understand that we have a gap of 550 megawatts power. Now, as of Wednesday, it was 650 megawatts at peak time. That's from 6 to 10 p.m. And then yesterday, it was 550 megawatts. So that is what it is. And if nothing changes, this will continue. Now, for people to understand what this means, if we have a shortfall of 550 megawatts, it's like the whole of Asobli not producing and another power plant not producing. It's really huge, Aisha.
So how far are plans in restoring the supply, Kojo?
Well, we understand that we have a debt of around $13 million as of 2 months ago, and WACO has been demanding this. GMPC is the one responsible to pay. They haven't. We don't know why they have not paid. Now, if this does not, if nothing is done for it to be settled, then of course, WAPCO has not given any indication of restoring, gas supply anytime soon. And therefore, we cannot tell as of now when this would last.
Any ideas how widespread the outage is or will be?
If we say we have a shortfall of 550 megawatt power, it means that it can affect the whole of Greater Accra, it can affect Central Region and many parts of the country. So it's quite huge, Aisha.
That's interesting. But do we know when regular power supply will be finally restored?
So, once WAPCO is demanding the payment of their 30 million debt, that might have even had more, it might have increased because of the time that we got to know of this information. So if this is not paid and we are not able to lobby WAPCO to then accept our terms so they can allow gas to flow from Takrady to Tema through the reverse flow, then of course, power cannot be restored anytime soon unless the country is able to get WAPCO to agree to their terms. That is only when we can tell. But as we sit here, we don't know when power will be restored. But we are still digging for more information. So we are likely to get more so that we can update our viewers.
Kojo Brace is head of energy desk here at JoyNews with those details. Let's get on to other stories. The minority in Parliament said President Akufo-Addo must institute an inquiry into events leading to cancellation of the GCPC power agreement. The termination of that contract has led to the award of $140 million in judgment debt against the state, with Ghanaian properties abroad at the risk of being auctioned to defray the debt. Former Energy Minister Boakye Jako, who signed the termination letter, said that he is not to blame as he acted on the decision of cabinet. But NDC MP for Pru East and former Power Minister Kwabena Donkor says the explanations are not enough and that a full-blown presidential inquiry alongside a parliamentary probe can help Ghana learn for the future as well as punish errant officials.
First of all, I call for two inquiries. One at the level of the presidency. The president might institute an internal inquiry to unravel what led to this. You see, cabinet is advisory to the president. Cabinet is not the final decision taker of the land in terms of executive power. Cabinet is advisory to the president. So the president in cabinet is a different business, because then the president has the power. And that is why I'm calling on the president to institute an internal inquiry for two reasons. To know where we really went wrong in terms of the process and what lessons that we have to learn as a nation at the level of the executive to avoid a recurrence going forward. Ghana is a going concern. So that is one. Then at the level of the legislature, since the decision to terminate was taken by the executive arm of government, it is the legislature that has oversight responsibility over the executive. We also have to set up an inquiry to find out who was culpable and why this happened, and why we've been burdened with over $140 million liability.
Dr. Kwabena Donkor says the argument about excess capacity does not make sense, as the country could export the excess power to neighboring countries.
What we would have paid in capacity charges, worst case scenario, would have been far lower than what we are paying today. That is the worst case scenario. But I disagree that we didn't need the power. One of the objectives of the Mahama government then was to position Ghana as a major power exporter. As we speak, the demand for power in Burkina Faso, we are unable to meet the demand. There is also demand for power in Mali. And therefore, contracting power generation was not.
Dr. Kwabena Donkor also insists government officials exhibited high-level incompetence in the termination of the contract.
The Mandi and the Jacobson plants, the government decided that, okay, rather than come on stream in year X, you come on stream in year X plus 2, and you come on stream in year X plus 3. And exactly that happened. So this plant could have also been delayed if we were so minded. But I sincerely believe that we went about this wrongly. And there may be reasons that I do not know why they decided that this particular contract should be terminated. But even in terminating, we were so incompetent in process. Even in termination, we displayed incompetence in following the process set out by the contract. And that is part of our problem.
Away from power, a violent clash between the youth of Ejura and a police military team in June 2021 resulted in deaths and injuries, leaving the Ashanti regional town in a state of insecurity. But Interior Minister Ambrose Derry says the establishment of a formed police unit has helped improve security and eased tension as the government pays compensation to bereaved families and affected victims. Ejura residents, however, are disputing the minister's claim of improved security, saying all is not rosy. Our humanitarian of our security desk visited the community and has more in this report.
But now I can tell you that just as has been acknowledged, the police have expanded their area of operation. Crime has reduced in Ejura as reported and beyond. And we are going to make sure that we continue to work together to make this police service more professional and more accommodating.
Mr. Derry was speaking at the inauguration of a divisional police headquarters at Ejura, built in response to the recommendations of a ministerial committee tasked to investigate the 2021 unrest in Ejura, which led to the death of 2 people. 2 persons, Abdul Nasir Yusuf and Mutala Mohammed, died following a clash between irate youth of Ejura and the police military team. They were protesting the death of a social media activist, Ibrahim Mohammed, also known as Kakamechu. That June 28, 2021 incident also saw 3 persons, 20-year-old Louise Ayepa, Awal Mesbao and Nasif Nuhu, aged 16 and 30 respectively, injured. The Justice George Kumson's committee, in a 10-point recommendation, called for the payment of compensation to bereaved and affected families. It also called for structural expansion of the Ejura police station and increase in personnel.
I took bold decision.
3 years after the incident, Ejurahene Berma Osei Hwedia II led the traditional authorities and mobilized residents to initiate construction of a divisional police headquarters at the cost of 1.8 million Ghana cedis. This, according to the Ejurahene, is to solve the area's security concerns.
The committee, after weeks of investigations, made 10 recommendations. The 10 recommendations was call for expansion of Ejura police station and an increase in personnel. While the government made strenuous efforts to provide solace to injured and families of the dead, I took bold decision to lead my elders to mobilize resources to help provide requisite infrastructure that will facilitate increase of police presence in town.
From Ejura, my name is Ohime Interior for JoyNews.
Fear delegates has become a popular statement during internal party elections in Ghana. It is believed that delegates are influenced in several ways in their voting decisions, leading to the disappointment of some candidates. In today's episode of Fear Delegates series, Nana Boache Iyadam interacts with some delegates in the Etrima Nwabeja North constituency in the Ashanti region ahead of the NPP presidential primary.
I will not say fear delegates, fear human beings, because the delegates haven't come from a different planet. The delegates are all human beings. Some are even my relatives. For all you know, you, even the interviewer, you are also a delegate. So I could also be afraid of you.
So come November 4th, delegates across the country will be going to their various polling stations to elect a flag bearer for the new patriotic party going into the 2024 general elections. But let's get interactive with some of these delegates from the Achiman Wabeja North constituency. Fear delegates, they say, but is that still the case? Openyi, Sir John say fear delegates, or can Emre Chemo, Edaso Yejuma.
Yeah, or somebody told me to me say, Omwa Ombeya was Ombeya you. And I said, you want piece in the echo premises. Now delegates fully need the Ebi Abacotono, ye be akoto the expect so benya no ho no o anya sa nti fear delegate ni de e wo ho e ya adwuma e be ya adwuma akopem se Yesu beba
ha de ti de be ya adwuma akopem se Yesu beba
ena me on se me dika
if say yenim se mre ko nanim no na ne ma bi sesa
ne ma sesa na ne ma sesa ne se ebia de be ma ne ma sesa kakra wo delegate no se ebia de bedrum bi na nipa wo so omoto aba na edoso ai bia yekoyi flag bearers na se yekoyi candidate bi no na bia nipa de doso se nipa on tibi ntue ska emfa ma saa nipa no na se koyi nipa kakra ya yeto aba ne de ene ye fe delegate ne de e wo ho pa
eti enipa nan a omuko gina November 4th no e wo so omusuru mu ankasa
100% sure 100%.
So na sa omu nyina ba campaign nso a mu di omachi
na me se wo no makura ko stand aba wo makura no obi o mo be solete awo enso mu nyina be di wachi na yeni na ye fence ayi papa dabi papa we ye fence papa ko sindium ni krom kra na ni krom na dwuma efo ko ato betia na dwuma efo ko afo mu twon ko mu to betia no enti abato de fear delegate de papa say once one fasad na 2-3 mu dia ene hu se bia na wo kra wo nsuro nyame enu kwa suro ye kra che bonsam delegate for
Yesu delegates
che bonsam ye fucking shege mafia
boss pacho osusu YouTube say e was ye fear delegate ampa
no correct nemom se enipa no so yi ne ho se ampa na ne nsɛm a wɔka no sɛ ebia ɔba a ɔbɛyɛ bibi aboa mo sɛ deɛ ɛbra etwa mu no na police station for no hu nhia no na sɛ wɛndɛ obi ba no ɔka sɛ ebia meme deɛ meba mɛyɛ ama wa ne kasa no atimi ma hu sɛ wei deɛ ɔba a ɔbɔbɔ ne ho mmɔden kakra so hu
enti no deɛ wo kan sɛ aspirant bi wɔ ha wɔ sɛ ɔde to ne tirim sɛ ne message kura account
no correct.
The message count here, I also fear delegates.
Oh yeah. And they said the many are cano. I was horse I could see say a real best. So what I say. Eti Oba can as someone be convince delegates no. Can they be convince woman? So what I say. And yet media can near Oba over to me. O can near Oba now over to me. And no bema independent when say ampa. As you see, you mujidi and at the end of my
and my member also so penny. Uti Unyanuma, almost fear delegates the Wampa. Also, YouTube fear delegates.
Medasi Media Minini. The son say, Nipano, I casa and money casa. Until your money casa, so can't say minute to Akumaswa. The baby and I will trim. Some penny for Casa say, who baby be what them are, why with him? I'm a pano prepare until media. Minini say fear delegate no Juma.
Madam Jitum say ne kasa any agency say because since I kasa say nipa nan na gyina say omope aba na wasi gyina ye say okwakoto banti de e ma ne koba sa ne obi wo ho na wasi gyina ye say abanamento ma enti e masa dwumadie no emwa na mum de mi hu say fear delegates ne de e ho sa ko mi say wrade beba
I didn't know also say Sir John Cass fear delegates.
Oh, say any part no one because I thought no, Omo and mafia, Shege mafia, and a man again say, hey, they go for the Yemini, and did not catch a fear delegates. Intimidate, Mijidi say, Entramuda, and a radiaba.
My member also, and then I also say a master John Cass fear delegates.
Boss, as I said, John, or call delegates for Iswa, Omun has some better than Omunyina obi asem meto abama ni akoto no alusu a wo so osroye
ye hwe MPs na omo so di aspirants ni bi echi no e ya de se omo betimi influence mo ye ko November 4th
enya no kore omuntime na de Ghana de delegates de obi anyini enya nkora biom me delegates na se de menu anamo kan se won what why na adwen dada champion de na be kan kire no etimi de me se omunyai MPs me se omunya neutral na se de be ya we ne a ye nyina betuma de ye support akoye dey akoma no me nipa me se meto ebia ne de me nipa me ye margin meto ma no so wa ne a ye to de nipa no ba ko pa we ne a ye nyina be ko campaign ma MPP enu ne hia be se ko gya ba ko achi na ko yiwa nim kim ne nipa na we ni se kim abet otuma ko nchen aso se yesi ye pese ko break 8 ye break na ye ko break 8 it is hard na MPC de me se ko mo sa na wotwe me nsa kakra ka no omo ntwe omo firi ho na aspirants na ankasa nyo modjuma me aspirants bi no mark be tunu for say side there some kind so betia on pam MPC na fina chi no anya na adwuma wo do on fa the campaign team no munya adwuma because MPC bi wo ho a delegate ni fu bi do mo hi be to aberetia aspirants ni bi etimesre wo mo MPC ni twa mo mfiri me de me two aspirants no for say omo mo ntwa mo mfiri omachi because ebi wo ho a me say omo nsa nye omo nsa ho ye fi MPC no bebrebe nsa ho nye ti be sere say me de me tu asesi me tu asesi me MP me support no o ye MP but onje neutral convince be to aba no.
So these are the opinions of some of these delegates we interacted with here at the Atwumanwabija North constituency. For some of them, they do believe that fear delegates still exist. Others think otherwise. But going into the November 4th election, they have sent a clear message to these aspirants. For JoyNews, my name is Nana Boache Dankwa Yadom.
Delegates of Lejokuku are also on the edge of their seats, anxiously anticipating the forthcoming the November 4th Delegates Conference. In today's installment of our series, Fear Delegates, we introduce you to Stephen, a dedicated delegate from Lejokuku constituency. We'll explore his views and experiences as he prepares to cast his crucial vote at the upcoming conference.
My name is Stephen Kwabna. I'm trying to be a politician one day, because I had that kind of feeling and love for politics.
Stephen Kwabna Ayensu is one of a few delegates in the Lejokuku constituency. In 2023, he concluded his national service program after earning his degree from the University of Education, Winneba. Currently, he finds himself among the ranks of unemployed graduates. His routine comprises aiding his parents with household tasks and manning their shop. He is eagerly looking forward to the November 4 NPP Delegates Conference.
Internal party politics is more rough and deadly than the general politics or general elections.
You don't want a showdown?
So I'm looking at a showdown to the opponent, which is the NDC. I'm not looking at a showdown internally.
Following the Super Delegates Conference, numerous developments have unfolded. The most notable amongst them is Alan Chamantin's decision to part ways with the party, citing unfairness within the party's election procedures. For Stephen, this move comes as no surprise.
As a student of politics, I didn't see it at the news. I didn't expect that to come, though, but when it happened, I didn't expect that as a news. When look at the kind of campaign Alan was doing, he was not focused on the delegate. Even within the delegate, they were even saying that he is not even ready to lead, as compared to even Kennedy Japan, who in the beginning we all thought that he was joking.
Top of his list of expectations is a candidate that will create opportunities for party folks. More importantly, can deliver a powerful blow to the NDC in the 2024 elections.
And every political party is going to do everything regardless to win power. So for me, I would look at a candidate who will prioritize the party and make sure we are going to win power. That is the first person as a delegate I will look at. You can be in the political party from 92, from 90, whatever. But we are going to look at your loyalty, your service to the party. And now, how you are going to deal with delegates, your message to delegates, what we delegates are also going to benefit in the party.
Among the 4 remaining candidates vying to lead the NPP in the 2024 elections, Stephen has firmly made up his mind.
I believe in 2 candidates, that when they come, the constituency level, I believe in Dr. Bernardo Koboy leading the constituency, the party here again to capture the seats back for us. And it's a fact. Wherever you go, everyone is calling for him. For the presidential, I can tell boldly that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is ready, because now politics is based on science and data.
His decision is unwavering, and not even a financial incentive will sway his determination.
For you, let me ask you personally, Stephen, will money change your mind or help you make a decision at all?
No. Money cannot change my mind. When you bring the money, I will take it. When you are bringing me money, like, Stephen, take this money. If you are giving me the money to go and vote for you, I'll let you know that, no, I'm not going to vote for you because I've already decided. But if you are giving money because I'm a party member, you feel like I should take something. That's when I'll welcome it.
So I'm sure you've heard this before. Fear delegate, fear delegate, fear delegate. You're a delegate. Should we be afraid of you? I mean, should they be afraid of you?
Yes, they need to be afraid of delegates because you might go to someone to campaign for the person. When the person sees you, will tell you that, oh yes, I would vote for you. Oh, Yomo, that's the word. Oh, Yomo, what do you see? But once you turn, another person comes in with a different story. So you need to fear the delegate because in front of you, he's not going to tell you boldly that, oh, Metwama, with surety. Maybe because of what he will get us at that moment.
For Stephen and numerous other delegates, this election signifies their sole opportunity to influence the party's direction, and they are determined not to miss it under any circumstance. Their ultimate goal is to make a well-informed choice that could potentially break the recurring 8-year political cycle for the MPP. For JoyNews, Michael Ashale.
President of the Ga Manye Council and member of the Central Planning Committee for the upcoming funeral of the late Queen Mother of the Ga State, Ni Ayikwe Otu, says the purported order of interim injunction on the funeral has been set aside by a high court and has called on invited dignitaries to disregard what he describes as distraction and join them in giving a befitting farewell to the late mother of the Ga State this weekend. Reading excerpts of the ruling, the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice said the High Court in its ruling stated categorically that the order of interim injunction was made in error. He spoke at the press conference at the forecourt of the Ga Manye Palace in Accra.
According to Mr. Ayikwe Otu, the move by the disgruntled faction to go to court for an injunction to be placed on the funeral only harms and frustrates the Ga State, considering the level of investment that has gone into the planning.
You know, when you do this sort of thing, you discourage people. And you know, we've worked. We've had people coming to sign book of condolence. We've spent so much time, money, expense, traveling, going about, informing dignitaries, prominent chiefs, politicians to come and mourn with us. All these people are holding themselves in readiness to come, only for that bombshell to be released.
He also argued that the initial order, which purportedly placed an injunction on the funeral, was in itself misinterpreted.
We were in court this morning. We argued against the injunction that was granted. We asked that it be set aside, and at the end of the day, we had this order made, which we want to share with you. Upon reading the affidavit filed by the applicants and deposed to by the first defendant applicant, and upon hearing Ayikwe Otu Esquire, counsel for defendants applicants, I am of the view that the order of interim injunction granted on 25th October 2023 was made in error. The applicants failed to give the court the true state of affairs. In fairness to the parties, therefore, the order of interim injunction granted on 25th October 2023 is hereby set aside. Any party desirous of proceeding may come on notice to the other party for a proper evaluation of the evidence from both sides. Now, the importance of this is that the order that people are misinterpreting has been set aside.
The ruling, which was given by the same judge who gave the initial interim injunction, now paves the way for this weekend's funeral for the late Queen Mother of the Ga State, Na Dede Omaidru III.
More than 10,000 nurses and midwives sought clearance from the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association to leave Ghana for better opportunities abroad. This is according to data from the association that captures the phenomenon from January to July 2023. In response to this trend, a former senior advisor to the joint UN program on HIV/AIDS, Dr. Emilio Temple, has cautioned against speculative overseas escapades for greener pastures. So speaking at the launch of her memoir titled Perseverance, there's more in this report.
The year, a significant number of Ghanaians have embarked on journeys to advanced countries in pursuit of better opportunities driven by the economic constraints in the country. According to statistics provided by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, from January to July 2023, more than 10,000 of their members have requested clearance form from the association to travel abroad. Out of this group, approximately 4,000 have successfully relocated to other countries in pursuit of greener pastures. In response to this increasing trend, a former senior advisor to the Joint United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS, Dr. Emilia Timpo, advised young Ghanaians to ensure they have a well-thought-out plan before considering relocation.
I think for anybody to think they're going out of the country to find an easy pasture, forget it. If you can, get your first degree here, because the quality of the first degree you will get in a Ghana institution surpasses what you can get in a lot of other places outside. Get your first degree and then look to go do your master's or go somewhere else. Don't go sell in the market in Europe or the US. That's not a productive use of your time.
Speaking about the inspiration behind the title of her memoir, Perseverance, which delves into her life journey, Dr. Timpo indicated that she chose the title because it better describes her life journey.
My whole life has been about perseverance, challenges every step of the way. I couldn't think of a better word, because, too many challenges, and yet I felt that I always have to find ways around whatever the challenge was, and you can only do that if you persevere, if you, go against the mold, make mistakes along the way, and accept that it's okay to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect, and it's okay, but you have to look at the goal ahead and work towards it.
Former chairperson of the National Media Commission, Nana Kwesi Jan Apentin, read excerpts of the book.
But her A-level results in physics meant she could not gain admission to the medical school. She decided to participate in a year-long remedial program at Cape Coast University. But just in that year, the medical school refused to consider candidates from that program. Eventually, after crying for 2 weeks, she decided to enter Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology to read for a degree in agricultural science.
Professor Emerita Techiwa Manu, who had the privilege of reading the book, pointed out that there are valuable lessons that everyone can learn from it.
So this is about an individual life, but it's got lessons for all of us, Perseverance means that there are difficulties, there are roadblocks, but you find ways to overcome them. And sometimes you have to go lower if you like. You have to lower your expectations to be able to get to where we are. But also it's also about maintaining standards. Perseverance doesn't mean that you lower your standards of excellence, but you really struggled to get to it.
The book highlights the power of perseverance in the face of all odds. Esther Nkrumah's report read to you.
Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Adofo-Ofusu, has appealed to the managers of the Northern Electricity Company, NEDCO, to rescind its decision that led to the disconnection of major health facilities, including the Bono East Regional Cold Room, as part of its mass revenue mobilization and disconnection exercise. He said the situation is adversely affecting general health care, as thought vaccines worth several millions of cedis are likely to go waste. And Asabit has more.
The Northern Electricity Distribution Company has, as part of its mass revenue mobilization and disconnection exercise, disconnected power supply to some major health facilities across the Bono East Enclave, and this includes the Regional Cold Room, which is under the Bono East Regional Health Directorate.
The issue of electricity supply to our facilities as Ghana Health Service has been a source of concern for us. We understand the ECGs and NEDCO and all this and that. They also need money to pay for the power that they procure, but then it should be done in the context that certain areas are critical. I mean, and some way need to be found that they are not made victims of a system. And that is our concern, because we've negotiated with them over this, but then along the line, then you go back again. Yeah, because it looks like that's the underbelly of the crocodile, and then you try to hit, and then you try to see it's arm twisting technique to try and get your money. But I don't think it's the best move, and I think they need to rethink around it.
The situation, according to the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Services, Dr. Anthony Adolfo Ofosu, is worrying and continue to serve as a threat to general health care, which will in the long term contribute to epidemics in children who may not be vaccinated due to this decision.
This cold room stores vaccines that have been bought by the government themselves and then partners at huge cost. And you all remember the uproar that we had in the country with the vaccine shortage. I mean, when there was vaccine shortage, because what it means is that children do not get vaccinated, and then it will lead to epidemics. So disconnecting cold rooms in a bid to recover your money from the government, I don't think it's a wise decision. And I think they need to rethink about it.
He was, however, quick to send a passionate appeal to managers of the Northern Electricity Distribution Company to rescind its decisions by reconnecting the various health installations across the region, adding that health is critical, and even though NEDCO needs the monies to survive, there is currently no budget to take care of that.
My plea to them that they should understand that, I mean, these are critical facilities that are needed for the whole public health. And because the bottom line is that we do not have allocation in our budget to pay for it. So we need to find a way of negotiating a way in which it will be conducive for all. We understand that they also have bills to pay. But then, I mean, you should understand that health is critical. And we need to understand how we can, without using this arm twisting technique that they are using.
Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Tichiman.
The most vulnerable segments of population, children and the elderly, are facing a growing threat from a silent and invisible killer, air pollution. Health experts in the country are sounding their alarm, calling on government and citizens to act to combat these deadly pollutants. Michael Ashali brings you the latest in our ongoing coverage of the critical issue of air quality in Ghana.
Accra is one of Africa's fastest growing cities. It seems that everyone in the capital is always on the move. But that very movement is putting them at risk. Air pollution is the second biggest threat to health in Ghana, according to the World Health Organization. Factories and waste burning are to blame for a lot of pollutants, but transport, especially the old fleet of trotros, is the biggest single contributor. Some of the particles emitted in this smoke are so tiny they can enter the bloodstream with lethal consequences over time.
It's not easy. It's a difficult moment. It's challenging breathing, especially at night when you are asleep.
Ruben Alexander has asthma, a life-threatening illness that constricts airways. Now 44 and an accountant with the University of Ghana Medical School in Kolebu, Otu says he was first diagnosed as a child. It was not a big surprise. Otu's mother had fought asthma for years before it finally took her life. Soon after, Otu's doctors told him he too had the disease. He is one of a growing number of Ghanaians with respiratory illnesses and a range of ailments, including heart conditions that doctors say are worsened by toxic air. Otu has to think all day, every day about avoiding triggers.
You encounter different kind of cars with their smoke from their exhaust pipes, very bad, and they are not the best.
The journey is far from comfortable, and with the emission of poisonous gas from the carbon-fueled engines, not even his nose mask can save him.
Protect myself from the dust in the system, the dust in the weather conditions in around here. It would help me to at least have a clean breath of air. So that's why I normally put on my nose mask. And especially when I use the throat and stuff, people might come in with all sorts of perfumes in which might not be that best for me.
Air pollution has been associated with several diseases, notably respiratory diseases, acute ones as well as chronic respiratory disorders, lung function disorders, cardiovascular diseases, and even in recent times there are linkages with adverse reproductive health outcomes like miscarriages, low birth weight, premature deaths, and infertility in males.
Dr. Kao Osei has been monitoring the impact of air pollution on Ghana's growing population. He is the program manager of the Occupational and Environmental Health Unit at the Ghana Health Service. He says the effects of dirty air are far-reaching for many groups of Ghanaians.
We know that the children, usually are more vulnerable because their lungs are not well developed, and they stay closer to the ground where you have some of these pollutants in higher concentration. So they are more vulnerable, as well as the aged, the elderly, who are also not able to handle the effects of this air pollution, as well as the strong adults. Then also you can talk about those who have pre-existing chronic lung diseases, chronic obstructive lung diseases. These are exacerbated when they are exposed to air pollution.
The WHO says that 99% of the world's population is breathing polluted air. Children and the elderly are most at risk when exposed to these pollutants, and UNICEF is concerned, especially for children in Ghana.
If you look at pregnant women, it has an impact on them, on the developing baby in the womb, on when the babies are born. They may have low birth weight, some die, children have pneumonia. So even 50% of children who die from pneumonia, it is from air pollution.
Dr. Yimano Chamanten Amoa is a health specialist with UNICEF. He explains the strong link between air pollution and infant mortality in Ghana.
Children are a group of people who are developing, so their ability to withstand harmful things is lower than the adult. Again, children breathe in more air at any given time than an adult. So if for an adult in a minute you are breathing about 20 times or 18 times, a child will go higher than that. So imagine if there are harmful things in the air that you are breathing, then because the child is taking in more air or more of that harmful substance, that child is going to be impacted. And they develop the diseases faster. I mentioned that when we talk about children, especially those under 5, pneumonia and asthma, they can get this just from air pollution.
The WHO estimates 28,000 people died prematurely every year in Ghana as a result of air pollution. Poor air quality is mainly caused by cooking, using wood and charcoal, road transport, slash and burn methods of farming, open waste burning, energy generation, accidental fires and industry. The good news is that there are things people can do to reduce the exposure. Dr. Osei says the easiest is to wear a good nose mask.
Within the limitations of some of these protective equipment like the respirators, the N95, at least you can reduce the black carbon and then other particulate emissions. And I think by doing that, we can also minimize our exposure.
Experts also recommend reducing exposure to traffic and waste burning as much as possible. But Dr. Osei says the real changes will come when government passes laws to regulate emissions and enforces them.
We should also check the emissions from the exhaust. Very important, because there are some vehicles on the road that should not even be on the road. You know, especially the diesel vehicles. You know, it contains there's emissions contain a lot of black carbon, which we know is also very harmful for health. For us, for example, we would be interested in seeing how exposure to schools, school children. You know, you're moving around, heavy traffic, the planning and the location of some of our infrastructure, you know, has to be regulated.
UNICEF's Dr. Chomantin Amoa says tackling the transport sector can greatly improve the air quality crisis.
And also, if we can look at public transportation and improve it, and look at other ways like rail line in the cities.
According to the Clean Air Fund, Accra could raise over $28 million in 2024 alone by implementing clean air measures. This story was a collaboration with New Narratives. Funding was provided by the Clean Air Fund, which had no say in the story's content. For JoyNews, Michael Ashadi.
And we're still live on JoyNews. That's coming to you from our studios in Kokomlimli. Let's take a break. When we return, there's business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. We are taking you to the Ashanti region now, where we are hearing reports of a fire outbreak at the Ga Market. Our correspondent, Nana Boachi Adam, is there for us with the latest. If you can hear me, Nana Boachi, what can you report?
So we are currently here at Ga Market. This place is popularly known as the Ga Market. Unfortunately, there is an outbreak just this morning over here with 3 buildings affected. You can see fire tenders trooping in and making sure that they are able to quench the fire. Sad news for residents living here at Ga, but fire tenders continue to troop in to make sure that they quench the fire and also make sure that everything goes on smoothly in the next hour or two. When I spoke to the fire officer, he told me that very soon they will be able to bring the fire down. But right now, what I can report is that the unfortunate incident happened around 10 a.m. and some 3 buildings have been affected. Fire tenders are in to make sure that everything is smooth. But let me paint a picture of what is going on right here for you. You can see a number of people surrounded here on the street of Ga. So sad, so unfortunate for them. People living in these buildings affected by the fire have been moved out. It is alleged that what led to the outbreak is a gas explosion that led to the outbreak. That we cannot verify. We'll leave it to fire attendants or fire officers here to make sure that the fire is down. But then people or residents in these 3 buildings have been moved out, and then they are inside. I mean, fire tenders are inside to make sure that everything comes down smoothly in the next hour or two. But let's get interactive with some of these residents who witnessed what happened here at Ga at around 10 a.m. this morning. Mepacho ombe me kakra. Edena esi wa hanum say a ma eja etimito edan we mu.
No pe na ye wo fie. Na ye hu de ekoso na hu se eja na ye den eso efie ho. Na ye try say be do no ba the way adense call big no ya ye ntimi ndum no. Na ye fire service for no ya from say omu be ye hia omu be boy omu ya omu ntimi ba before me ba na bibia ye den I say
a time na isi ankasa mo the fire service.
Then start we say around be 8:30 call 9 na dey see ya from omu sa omu nye on ya tell you pay ya tell you best you know say be na edum ja yentimi dum ko aye big yentimi dum no na ya from ya from omu ba bibia say wi ansa na omu aba
omu te dan ni mu no omu aka bibia kire mu because yenim say eden omu na omu benim de ma eja ne ba omu ne makasa ama ma kire mu de see ye
say ade tie no na me ne nkure obi a pie kope na no dua ni nti obi a den e pie say bi de aron kwan say enra minua baako ati ena we mu ono ene oye oba ho ade ene ya nti onu kra okoe so okoe oba ne ho ade ti say fu no my friend say ni fie na hie o ewo awale na ase
Okay, so he's explaining what led to the outbreak. He says that it started around 8:30. They tried calling in fire attendants, but they did not arrive on time, which led to the unfortunate spread of the outbreak here this very morning. But then we should get people to also speak to, because they must explain to us what really led to the outbreak, especially residents. But then we still paint a picture to you of what led to the outbreak this morning, or what things look like here at Anloga. So a story building, 3-story buildings have been affected. It is alleged that it is through a gas explosion that we witnessed this particular explosion, but fire attendants are inside to make sure that everything comes down in the next hour or two. That is according to the fire officer I spoke to earlier. But they are still trying their best to make sure that the fire does not spread to other houses or other buildings. But let's get people to talk to. Also, so then who you are say anope.
Ya anope de ba na ha she kama. So ade amoye no yempe. Ya fire service I just kwesi Accra. Ansa na Accra for na Afra for no. Live en so no. O say enya de betumi Afra ha direct. O say enya de betumi Afra ha direct ansa na. Nya say de amoye na de. Okay,
so he's also saying that if the fire service officers had arrived earlier, they would not have the fire spreading this wide. But what you can see here, some residents in the nearby house are trying to push the building to make sure that it does not spread into their house, because the fire is still ongoing. It's quite huge here. Fire attendants are not enough, but then they are also trying to help to make sure that everything goes on smoothly, and then the fire does not really spread into their houses. Okay, so I have another person here with me.
Oh, the thing is, around bed 9 morning. They won't say, Janu, I started. Fire service.
A very terrible situation there at the Anloga market. Nana Wachiadon bringing us up to speed. He'll bring us updates subsequently. And that's it for this segment. Aisha, we're back to wrap up.
And that'll be all for JoyNews Desk. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.